The COMESA, Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, stretches from Tunisia to Eswatini. A solid block of 21 member states, including Mauritius. These countries have a combined population of 520 million people. Their gross domestic product altogether exceeds $600 billion. It is emerging as a huge market with high return business opportunities. Over the past decade, the COMESA Regional Investment Agency, or COMESA RIA, has been very active in promoting investments in this economic community. The institution, set up in 2006, drives integration through increased trade and investment. It estimated the foreign direct investments into COMESA countries to $18 billion in 2017. Intra-investments are also taking off. Nearly 60 Mauritian companies are already operating in the region. We are at the headquarters of Alteo in Saint-Pierre, which is located in the center of Mauritius. This important Mauritian group has adopted an interesting African strategy, that is to be physically present on the continent. Alteo is the largest sugar producer in Mauritius with an annual turnover of 9 billion Mauritian rupees or $250 million. Over the past years, this Mauritian group has been expanding its activities in East Africa. After Tanzania, Alteo Mauritius created the Transmara Sugar Company Limited in western Kenya. The cane there is wholly supplied by some 15,000 outgrowers in the Kilgoris region nearby. This integration is helping these planters in terms of knowledge transfer through irrigation, fertilization and harvest techniques, as well as in terms of economic empowerment.
Alteo is a Mauritian group established a long time ago, more than 100 years ago. In Africa, we operate in Tanzania and Kenya. In Tanzania, we acquired a sugar mill and plantation about 20 years ago. And in Kenya, we have the same, but it's more recent. It's about 3.5 years ago. In Kenya, it's more recent, as I said. We've already made some progress, and we're quite confident that we attain our objectives in due course.
And how you see the business scope in this part of the world?
I think the business scope is very interesting. This is where the market is, with the population increase, with the increase in the standard of life generally, and the emergence of the middle income. And we think this is where business is going to be for us.
So finally, do you intend to deepen your investment in the region?
Certainly. I think first, apart from sugar, we'll probably start doing energy and alcohol on those two sites which I just mentioned, and we'll be on the lookout for other similar opportunities elsewhere on the eastern coast of Africa.
Tapping these investment opportunities does not imply only big Mauritian companies. The Pierre Laval enterprise, based at La Leroy in Mauritius, is a welding company in the small and medium enterprises category. It employs 40 people with an expansion plan in the COMESA region.
Pierre Laval enterprise have been born in Mauritius since 1985. First, we was making manufacture of spare parts, and now we have made about 4 sections here. We are doing forging decoration, stainless steel, and also in building construction.
And can you explain the project in the region, especially Madagascar?
Madagascar is fine for the moment, but we have to work very hard. And now what we are doing here, we are making the spare parts and the decoration about, let's say, 70% here in Mauritius, and then we make the finish in Madagascar.
Any other projects in the region apart from Madagascar?
No, the next project, we are waiting to open one in Como also. So we are waiting, there's some documents we have to be prepared, but we are hoping that will work there.
And finally, do you believe there is a scope in the region for your enterprise?
Sure. There is a scope.
Mauritian companies also present in Seychelles, Uganda, Zambia, amongst others. The sectors concerned are financial services, logistics, hospitality and property development, manufacturing, agribusiness, and even oil and gas, ICT, and transport and aviation. Mauritius ranking first in Africa in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business. The island stands as a model in this part of the world. The Mauritian government has opened its doors to regional organizations for sharing this success. Last September, the Prime Minister Pravin Kumar Jagnnath welcomed in Port Louis a high-level delegation from the African Union, the COMESA and the SADC. They came to participate in a UN conference on the exploitation of marine resources, an opportunity for the Eastern and Southern African community to share experiences and showcase the emerging opportunities.
If today COMESA can still attract more member states like Tunisia and Somalia, who were admitted this year, it means that there is something good in COMESA. So COMESA is composed today of 21 countries. In those countries, there are tremendous business opportunities. Some have natural resources, some don't have, but they have brain. How to create wealth for their people. Let me take Mauritius. We usually move with to spearhead the reform process. Because if we don't facilitate business, nothing will happen. You can have a lot of natural resources, but nothing happens on the ground. We know how many countries in Africa are still suffering because of their natural resources instead of being blessed with what God has given them. Now, COMESA, the way it operates is that we have a free trade area, but we don't have enough to trade among ourselves. If you look at our ports, our roads, everything is designed for exporting raw materials and importing goods from Europe, from Asia, and from US. I think if we don't look at the industrialization to add more value to what we have, so that we are able to trade among ourselves, but also trade with the rest of the world, nothing will happen in this region. We have used Mauritius to come and sit with us in the COMESA Regional Investment Agency, which is a regional institution which was created by the head of states to facilitate and attract investment in our region. So Mauritius has been there as a chair of the board for many years. Why Mauritius? It's because of the leadership, because of the consistency, because of the discipline, and most importantly, how to make things happen.
What are the main investment opportunities currently in the COMESA region?
You know, more than 80% of the population lives with agriculture as, the main sector. If we can put in sale the productive capacity to process those commodities, we won't talk about mining. Because with agriculture processed good, we can be able to trade across the region. This is a huge business opportunities we have. If we take services, the services today represent also a very, very important business opportunities. When I talk about services, I don't only look at a small bit, including the logistics, because when you are trading across the border, you need logistics. These are the things that can, go with you. If you are investing, you need also services, like financial services. This is very, very important. We don't have enough capacity in terms of facilitating funding of the project. Why COMESA has chosen Mauritius to be the financial hub for our transaction? It's because of this importance that Mauritius has given to the sector. So these are the opportunities that are very, very, very important if we need to attract investment. We don't need investment in oil now. We don't need investment in mining. We need more investment in those sectors.
Earlier this year, in July, Mauritius hosted for the first time the COMESA RIA board meeting under the chairmanship of the EDB, the Economic Development Board, which is the Mauritian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency. Many issues were discussed, namely the improvement of business and investment climate across member states. COMESA RIA also works closely with regional investment promotion agencies to promote the region as a common investment area and to build a positive image of its member states. In this respect, the Egypt-based institution prepared a practical guide to doing business in Mauritius, which was released during the mission. The EDB has extended full support to assist in fulfilling the mandate of the COMESA RIA through an Africa strategy well in place in Mauritius.
Mauritius has all the ingredients of success to be sure that we can attract most of the key investors from Europe, from India, from China, to set up their base of kind of competence center or regional center or whatever we will call it, but you know, to be able to have some of the key position in all the typical function of finance, IT, legal, training, human resources, and so on, to be sure that they can drive from this place most of the key businesses that they will operate for manufacturing and sales potentially in Africa. So we understand that some of the key companies can operate directly in Africa, in particular if they want to have manufacturing and sales close to the customer base. But we believe that all these other function and position can be really operating in a very good environment. There is also ingredient for that. There is the fact that there is an easy transfer of money between the country and all other region of the world. There is a very high level of security on data and for people. There is a very low tax rate. There is a good level of education and manpower. There is the law is really, let's say, implemented in Mauritius. Therefore, there is all the key ingredient to make this island at the center, let's say, of the strategy from many big block of the economy for Africa.
And for Africa, do you believe in the economic and business potential of Eastern and Southern Africa?
I think that, you know, Africa is a little bit like it was ASEAN 15, 20 years ago. Today, you know, most of the European and Japanese, American company who are, let's say, basically the headquarters in Singapore are expanding within all ASEAN countries, in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Philippines, in Indonesia. And they have, let's say, they have already started to make this market very successful. So Africa is going to be the next phase, and within the next 10, 15, 20 years will be the place, let's say, to really have a very strong growth. What they have experimented in ASEAN during the last 15 years, I'm sure that the next phase will be in Africa.
The Mauritian Ministry of Finance, on its part, has put in place the Mauritius Africa Fund to support domestic companies willing to invest in the region. The government has committed to initially inject in this project 500 million rupees or 15 million USD. Its role is to promote joint ventures between Mauritian entrepreneurs and their regional counterparts, as well as the setting up of special economic zones in certain African countries, including Madagascar.
The first step is to enter into a G2G framework of cooperation between Mauritius and the host governments in order to facilitate the investment. The second step is to develop the business infrastructure so that Mauritian companies wishing to invest into these countries have a place in which they can set up. And the third step is to facilitate access to finance for these companies. It has to be borne in mind that there are two major challenges to investing in Africa. The first one is having access to the right infrastructure. The special economic zones allow for the establishment of the conducive environment in terms of infrastructure and regulations for companies to invest. The second challenge is access to finance.
The Stock Exchange of Mauritius also joined the national effort to raise capital for Eastern and Southern Africa. It launched the SEM Africa Board on 19th October 2018. This platform consists mainly of global business companies and investment funds targeting the region. The aim is to enhance access to finance for African enterprises.
If we can link those that have the money with those that need the money, I think we will be making Mauritius a much more attractive place for doing business. And we, as a Stock Exchange of Mauritius, we could bring our contribution to this plan that I've just described to you by offering a competitive, attractive, very flexible listing framework that would allow those that have the money to provide it to those that need the money in a more transparent, regulated environment. So this is why we would need to also engage with the management companies to explain to them how this Africa Board could bring value to their own activities that they are doing, and how we can work together hand in hand, because it is something that we will both benefit from. And ultimately, if we grow this Africa Board, we attract more companies to Mauritius, it will also benefit Mauritius as an international financial center that is trying to position itself as a service hub for Africa.
The Mauritian Foreign Minister presented the government's African strategy on 1st November 2018 at the University of Mauritius. Vishnu Lakshmanaraydu reiterates the commitment of the country to deepen regional integration.
Le sujet d'aujourd'hui a été comment est-ce que l'île Maurice pourrait jouer son rôle.
The subject of today is how international economic powers can use Mauritius as their platform to penetrate the African continent, which is emerging as a land of opportunities.
La question est là. Et la réponse est quoi? Que nous, l'île Maurice,
in our strategy, we are focusing on free trade agreements. Mauritius will only position itself as the gateway to Africa with these FTAs.
L'Inde, l'Europe, les États-Unis et autres.
The good news is that we signed the Continental Free Trade Agreement, which will convert the whole of Africa into a FTA. We are also fully committed to establishing the COMESA EAC SADC tripartite FTA. We are thus involved in a network of FTAs to propel Mauritius as the door for the international community to enter Africa.
C'est le projet de faire du continent africain un free trade area. Deuxièmement, nous sommes partie prenante au niveau de l'Afrique, toujours de l'accord trilatéral toujours touchant donc la COMESA SADC, les pays, COMESA SADC est ici, et l'île Maurice est partie prenante totalement dedans. Nous sommes en train d'établir un réseau de zones de libre-échange où Maurice peut jouer ce rôle de connexion, ce rôle de trait d'union donc entre l'Afrique et le reste du monde.
In addition to the Mauritian institutions, there are other COMESA bodies supporting the development of regional investment opportunities, namely the COMESA Trade and Development Bank, the COMESA Clearing House, the COMESA Reinsurance Company, the African Trade Insurance Agency, the COMESA Competition Commission and the COMESA Business Council. In the pipeline, the UNCTAD's World Investment Report 2018 forecasted FDI inflows to Africa to increase by 20% this year to $50 billion USD. A projection underpinned by a strengthened inter-regional economic cooperation well on track on the continent. COMESA is indeed leading the way.
So that's it for this edition of Business Connect. Find this program on our website and also follow us on our Facebook page. We'll be here next week on the same channel. Till then, it's goodbye.